Hey everybody, how are you doing? So it's Jesse. This video is a little bit different than normal. One, I'm speaking English, you can tell. I actually do speak English. I studied for a long time when I was, 0 to 5. I put in a lot of good work and I've been coasting since then. So the, let's start over. This video is a little bit different. This is a talk I did on the future of people-to-people diplomacy online. How the internet and technology has turned everybody into a diplomat and what it means for the future of America and China specifically communicating, but really about how people-to-people connections are going to be happening in the future. If that's interesting to you, watch the video. If it's not, then I'll be making more short comedy videos in the future, obviously. So. And again, I apologize that this is only going to be in English. I don't have the time or money to subtitle 24-minute video, but I didn't want to not share it because of that. So I hope you guys enjoy, and right to the talk. Whoa!
I'm excited about our speaker today. Jesse Appell is an American comedian who has spent the last 8 years in Beijing performing Chinese comedy on stage and on TV. He has over 2 million fans on Chinese social media. He has performed on Chinese television shows, including Happy Comedian. Without any further ado, let's welcome Jesse. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it. Thank you to John and to Bryant University and the National Committee, all the people who are involved in making this event real. So I started out my journey as a Fulbright Scholar. Which is an American government program where Americans go to China to learn about China, and Chinese go to America to learn about America. And that is basically what is, for lack of a better term, known as people-to-people diplomacy. But what I want everybody to realize is that everything that we do now on the internet, where we see somebody from another country, from another culture, that is all people-to-people diplomacy. We are all diplomats. I do the live shows and the live streams, but we're all part of this process of being interlocutors between the different countries. And it makes sense if we're talking about people-to-people diplomacy, and we're doing the Chinatown Hall put together by the National Committee on U.S.-China Relations to talk about what is the start of modern U.S.-China people-to-people diplomacy. It was the ping pong diplomacy. So America sent ping pong teams over to China. Look at how much fun these people are having. And this is 1971. So, as much as we think that there are problems now with the US-China relation, think back to 1971 and think that when we had the chance to start building something fresh, people to people is what we chose to do. Why did the ping pong diplomacy work? This is something that I've been thinking about a lot, especially seeing US-China relations completely crater over the last 2 to 3 years. Understanding why the ping pong diplomacy worked will help us make better people-to-people diplomacy in the future. So I think it worked because the idea is simple to understand and it's accessible. Playing a ping pong game is easy to understand, but it's ping pong. Ping pong was the sport that regular Chinese people played, rich and poor, everybody played ping pong. And so it wasn't something that was difficult to understand or it was only accessible by an elite. It was accessible by everybody. That's why it worked. Second is that the attempt to do the ping pong diplomacy was made in good faith. Nobody cared who won the game in ping pong. That was not important. The important part was that we went over in good faith and tried to make connections. And then finally, it's fun. This is really important. There are a lot of old China groups that have been around for sometimes even 100 years. Universities, academics, societies, and if we don't make our interaction fun, it will not stick. It won't be effective people-to-people diplomacy. So you should think of the people-to-people relations as what allows cooperation and manifest as real-life friendships, and then those real-life friendships stabilize international cooperations in times of tension. That's the value of people-to-people diplomacy. So what we're seeing now is the internetization of people-to-people diplomacy. So before, we literally sent 5 scholars over and some translators to play one game of ping pong. Now we have live streaming services where we can go and join in over with Chinese people online immediately and interact over the internet. And so what does the internalization of people-to-people diplomacy look like? I'm going to show you a video from a far back time in February. It's hard to believe, but there was a time in this country where the virus had not reached us yet, but everything was really bad in China. And so I put together a charity show in America where we could still do group activities to benefit people in Wuhan. And so I'm going to show you the video of basically what I've been doing over the last 8 months is stuff like this, trying to do this people-to-people connection over the internet in a time where I can't physically get back into China. So here is the short video blog of my charity show. Here we go.
所以现在在国内办不了什么演出，所以我在美国办了一场1、2、3，武汉加油！我们生活中需要健康和快乐，我给不了健康，但是我能给人带来快乐，所以我在我高中办了一场公益脱口秀演出，钱用来买医用品捐给武汉。
这些票。
In Beijing, all public events are canceled. So this is probably the only Chinese comedy show happening on the planet right now. So for that, give yourself a round of applause. I got back here about 2 weeks ago, so I'm safe. 第一部分内容讲什么是相声。第二部分说到疫情，赞美中国人面对大困难的时候还保持幽默的态度。They can't leave the house. They are incredibly bored.
We've been thinking a lot about the people in Wuhan and in China. I wish them all the best. We are thinking for them and praying for you.
We believe that we are one global community. We're all human and we are here to help and serve each other.
筹款的余额完全超了我的想象。
我们仅晚上演出1晚就筹款7000多美金。哇！有的入场人呢买了1张10块钱的票，但是捐了剩下的90块钱。
哦哇！
这仅只是当晚的筹款项目。
还有晚上也卖了200多。
网上卖了500张票。
500张票，所以这个我们真有可能会超1万。
我觉得会，我觉得一定会。
钱具体捐给谁，我们还在研究，因为不要捐错，你知道的吗？啊，虽然我人不能在中国，但是我的心还在中国。这些美国观众的心也在中国。这几天我会在这个频道多分享表演的内容，所以肯定不要错过，点赞关注。一起来说武汉加油！
So this show that I did turned out to be a big surprise hit. I put up the video online, and the video wound up getting over 200 million hits over in China. It got pirated everywhere and got another 200 million hits just from the pirated copies. And the show is, it's really sad to say, but it was basically the only positive US-China interaction that came out of this entire time with the virus. It was probably the only piece of culture in the entire history of the world that was forwarded by both NPR and the Chinese police. So my goal in doing this presentation is to kind of talk about how do you wind up doing something that everybody likes and that actually creates effective people-to-people diplomacy. And why is it important? And this is really, if I can leave you with one thing from the talk, remember this about the nature of why the internet is so important in sharing our cultures. Most Chinese will never visit America. Most Americans will never visit China. So our interactions online for most people will be the entirety of the US-China people-to-people relations. Everything is going to be online. If you have a personal connection to the US and China, you are already a cultural ambassador. And what is our role as cultural ambassadors? We need to be effective and responsible, both effective and responsible. So we can't just say, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, but I'm not reaching anybody. Well, that doesn't really do a whole lot. And similarly, if you're being effective and you're getting lots of hits, but you're doing it in a bad way, that's not good either, because that's not helping, it's actually hurting. And so one of the challenges that I've tried to take on is how to do this people-to-people diplomacy online. since the beginning of the year because of that viral video. And I've had 3 series basically that I've been doing on TikTok, on Douyin. My Jesse at Home talk show, my small theater, like, you know, just like live stand-up videos that I still have recorded from my time in China, and my vlog. And the 3 of these series have gotten 300 million views, and it has shown us about the nature of what the internet has done to people-to-people diplomacy. It has democratized diplomacy. So it used to be that we chose diplomats and sent them over to represent us. Now we have no control, for better or worse, over who represents our country to the other country. Anybody can pick up a phone, and if you're a Chinese exchange student in America and you go to Starbucks and show what an American Starbucks is like, you're being a diplomat. If you're an American and you go to a Chinese dumpling restaurant and you take a video, you're a diplomat. And that's the reality of what diplomacy online looks like now. The people who make these little internet videos have the ability to reach many more people than before. That's the ability to scale. Previously, if we went and held a ping pong match, maybe we hold 1, maybe we hold 10, maybe even we hold 100, but we couldn't hold 100 million ping pong matches. It just doesn't work. That's not the nature of ping pong. But the nature of the internet is that way, that if you do something, you can get it out at scale. And so this provides a complete change in the way diplomacy works. It's actually very difficult to control that scale. Sometimes things get big and you didn't even want them to. The third thing, which is also really crucial, is that because diplomacy is online now, we have the ability to gather real-time data on whether it's working. So likes, shares, comments, calls to action. If I were trying to raise money for a charity, we can look and see how much money was raised in the 48 hours after the video went out. These numbers are really important because we can't hide behind the old way of doing things because it feels good or it feels right or because our organization has done it that way before. You need to be looking at the data, and if we look at the data, we should be able to see the effectiveness of our people-to-people relations, and if we don't see the effectiveness, we need to change. And then 4, very important, ability to build community. The internet is meant for people to follow, to comment, to be able to create community. It's not just a one-off event that now just does something and it disappears. And then finally, the algorithms control what we see now. And the whole world is adjusting to this reality. But basically, the algorithm shows people what they want to see. And this is the, you know, the duality of man. We want to see things that are good for us. We want to see things that are bad for us. We want to see things we hate. We also want to see things we love. And so the result of this algorithm has meant that if you do something good, it can go viral and go to a bajillion people. But if you do something bad, it can also go viral and get seen by a bajillion people. So the algorithms make the results more extreme. And so that is why it's very important that we do better people-to-people diplomacy online and not bad people-to-people diplomacy. So I'm going to show you another video that I saw on a different TikTok channel. And this is my example of bad people-to-people diplomacy. It's horrible. But I'm not picking on this video in particular, or even this channel. This is a type of video that I've seen on all of the Chinese social media pages, on Douyin, on Kuaishou, on Bilibili, on all of the major channels. And it's kind of like, you know, there are cooking videos and there are, pet videos. There are also walking around in a foreign country and talking about how that country is videos. And so this is one of those videos that I've translated for you. The title is called, Is America Safe? And I'm going to show you why I think this is bad and why we can do better. Here we go.
在美国走夜路，你一定要在兜里放$50，这是你能救命的护身符。我的美国朋友 Alex 跟我说过，美国基本没有什么移动支付，一切都是现金，所以不法分子还是可以通过抢你来获取现金的。一般你现金如果带的太多了，不法分子呢都会得寸进尺就会尾随你，让你到附近的 ATM 机上再取一些给他们。如果你现金带的太少或者没有现金，那么这个时候你的麻烦就大了。因为这些美国不法分子呢，可能会恼羞成怒，做出极端行为。我在美国芝加哥的留学生朋友基本上50%都被人抢过，但幸运的是，他们兜里呢都会放$50。 每一次一旦遇到这种情况，立刻把$50给不法分子。这些美国的惯犯呢很有默契，一看到$50呢就知道你没有钱，但是你很懂道上的规矩，都会说一句 "Yeah, respect"， 基本上都不会伤害你。
There we go. So, by the way, in the chat, raise your hand if you carry $50 as your protective shield from getting mugged. I thought it was just me, and I was very glad that this video shined a light on our culture, something that most people wouldn't know. Obviously, this is horrible. This sort of stuff is bad, but interestingly, I think it's important to know why it's bad, because if this is what we don't want to be doing to share culture online, why don't we want to be doing this way? And I kind of broke it down. I'm going to do a comparison between the way they do their videos and then the way that I did my video and try to avoid these problems and ideally do it opposite. So the first thing is look at their footage. So their footage in this video was all stock footage. It was random video of a street in Manhattan that was probably taken by some company and then purchased later by the people that made this video. Nobody who would have thought to make a video about mugging would go out and shoot random street video with a steady camera and then put a dub on top of it. So this video is not real interaction. There were two people mentioned in the video. My American friend Alex, who is kind of like the Chinese social media equivalent of somebody having a Canadian girlfriend that doesn't exist. And then we have a vague reference to my friends who studied abroad in Chicago, and half of them have gotten mugged. Really? If half of them got mugged, that would make for an incredible video blog. Put them on the camera. They're not on the camera because they don't exist. And they're not on the camera because that's just not what this video is doing. And what I try to do with my video is real life, authentic interaction. We see Americans, we see Chinese people, we have the principal of my high school. We have people in the background that are actually tied to the story. Just trying to put real people onto the internet is already a win. And especially if we're doing US-China stuff, that means Americans on camera and Chinese on camera. Some of it's in English, some of it's in Chinese. That's what real life is like in a better interaction world. Secondly, the Is America Safe video. There's no empathy or good faith in this video. These people are not really concerned about Americans getting mugged. They're not really concerned about helping Chinese people avoid being mugged. There's no real empathy in the video. This was created in a way that it's not really trying to help anything. And my charity show video, even if I had done a charity show that one person showed up to, at least I'm trying to help. The trying to help comes from a real place. And so when we are making people, again, come from a real place, try to help people, try to do something that actually means something and do it from a good place. Because if you do, people will be able to hear it, they'll be able to feel it, and they can tell when it's real and when it's not real. And then the final thing I want to talk about here is who profits. So for the Chinese video, there's kind of, I thought of two reasons why this video exists. There's kind of the more charitable reason and the less charitable reason. The more charitable reason why it could exist is that somebody thinks that they can get clicks online by saying horrible things about America. And certainly that's not a difficult thing to do. You can definitely get clicks. Again, both of these videos went viral for completely, I don't want to even say different reasons, for the same reason, which is people are curious about what's going on in America. Both of these videos went viral, but who profits? So maybe it's just some account that wants to get clicks. I personally think it's probably not that. I personally think this looks more like a coordinated effort by some sort of group, whether it's a government group or whether it's a non-government group, to make stuff that looks bad about foreign countries. Because again, it's background footage. There's a dub over top of it. So it could have just been, you could just write 100 of these, horrible things about life abroad, dubs, hire a voice actor to go and record them, spam them out on the internet, and then that might be why the thing was made. But either way, regardless of whether it's a person who wants clicks or whether it's a government program, it's very unclear who profits from making this video. Whereas in my video, I try to be transparent, And I try to create like a win-win-win interaction. The Americans get a great show. The Chinese get money donated to charity. And me as a creator, I get clicks, I get likes, I get shares, I get people to follow me. That's all good as a creator. And it's clear that I want people to like and follow me. I even say it in the video. But the whole thing is transparent, and we're trying to do it in a better way. So if we're trying to do better interactions online, how do we tell which things are real and which are fake? And the quality of the interaction is a real way that we can go and look at that. So if you're having quality interactions, what do they look like? Well, you'll see likes and comments come together. It seems really basic, but if you have a video with likes, you should also have some comments. And those comments ideally should sound like they were written by actual people and not by either bots or by people who are being paid to write them, or even just by people who are not being paid to write them, but they're regurgitating information from the internet. So on my videos that I had about the charity show, we had these comments. I hope you'll continue being a cultural ambassador. Thank you for letting Americans see the real China. These comments are super important because they show us specifically what people took away from our interaction. If I did a show and all of the interaction comments are like, wow, that's a hilarious shirt, then we know that, okay, well, people like the show, but they weren't really listening to what I thought they were listening to. But when you get comments like this, it shows that people are really doing it for the right reasons. Quality of interaction is also important for spotting whether, again, things are being done in good faith and being done accurately. This is a screenshot I took of a CGTN production, Fighting Terrorism in Xinjiang. It was put out, it was viewed 109 million times on Weibo and had 0 shares, 0 comments, and 0 likes. So this is a piece of people-to-people diplomacy that looks like it has a lot of views, but it was actually only something that was pushed to the front page of Weibo because of a cooperation between CGTN and Weibo. And you can tell that because it has 0 shares, 0 comments, and 0 likes. Either that or people are not allowed to comment and like, but that's a different situation. Quality of interaction, again, the comments are super important in determining whether or not you're having the effect you want. This is a video I saw earlier this week of a traditional Japanese dance. And I thought this video was gonna be easy clickbait because look at those legs. The internet loves legs. That is, they love legs, they love cooking videos, they love pets. This is what we know about the internet. And so I was thinking that we would see comments about the legs. But instead, I saw this comment, which is, when I see the word Japan, I instantly think of our never-ending national shame. Only the dances of the great race of Chinese are beautiful. Which again, you know, is a pretty like hardcore nationalistic statement for little Nanyan over here, who doesn't really look like she's all that, she's not all that xenophobic. She's got little Korean emojis in there. Interesting. And so you see these interactions, you wonder what exactly they mean. But again, the interactions themselves are not just important. It's also important what people reply to these interactions. And so for this comment, underneath it, somebody wrote, not necessarily, which I think is hilarious because one of the things I found in my personal videos is that having there's some things that I say as the host that the Chinese people will listen to. There are other things that the Chinese people who are commenting on my videos need to discuss amongst themselves, and that they will only trust the other Chinese people commenting on the video. And so this is why important, in order to make sure we do quality interactions, we also allow all sorts of discussion in our group. We don't want to censor this comment up at the top because then we don't get the discussion underneath that happens. And so this is why it can sometimes be frustrating to see the comments be censored on the Chinese platforms. For instance, on this video, I had a video that had 95,000 likes and 28 comments. So the 28 comments is not a natural number of comments for 95,000 likes. It means that the platform is suppressing the comments, but not the views, which is very interesting. And so finally, I want to wrap this all up and start taking questions. I know it's been a lot of new stuff, but again, if you are a group, if you are a person who wants to make better connections between countries online, or if you're a university that's part of your mission, or if you're from an NGO that does intercultural communication, I want to share really the key about what I've learned is that we need to move away from thinking about cultural interactions as events and start thinking of them as a communicative, iterative story. It's the never-ending story of doing our job. So the story of my charity show started with a poster that I posted as an image onto my social media saying that we're going to be having this show. And that led to the vlog that I showed you and the show itself being released in 2 different videos. Then I had a video about boxing the supplies and how much money that we donated over to China and what we're sending over. I released the second video with some more jokes. I wasn't planning to, but the first video did so well. I listened to the comments which said, we want more jokes, and I put out more jokes. And then finally, I put out a video about looking for masks for Americans in the next month when March came along, and everything wound up looking out really bad, because this is the result of doing quality people-to-people interactions, is that we help each other. After I made my video sending masks over to China, a month later, the virus reached our country in America. And I was deluged by literally hundreds of private messages from people who had masks, who could sell masks, who were shipping companies that wanted to ship masks, who were donors that wanted to donate masks. And they say, we saw you help us, we want to help you. How do we get these masks to Americans? And what we found was that we had people that were willing to do that. And some of the masks that they sent over reached nursing homes in Boston, I sent masks to a homeless shelter in Boston. We were able to do that and help each other out because of these people-to-people interactions on the internet. It may have wound up saving lives here in America. And so this doesn't happen because we plan an event. There was an event, there was a show, but it was because we shared about it before and we listened to the audience in terms of what they wanted to see going forward. We made follow-up vlog after follow-up vlog. We had everything subtitled bilingually, and that's what made this effective. And the story is continuing even now to this presentation. So, and then after all of that stuff, I taught everybody how to make s'mores because that's just fun. So I think the end of the presentation just comes down to the fact that we have the ability to go out and do all of this. You'll notice I didn't mention President Biden once. I didn't mention Chairman Xi once. And the reason is because we can't expect the president or the chairman to change our problems through national policy. Governments are important, but tech is important too. And we have control over what we put out into the world, and we have relatively little control over what happens in government. We need to do the things that we can do well, do them better, and do them in the right way. We need to be the meme you want to see on your feed. And so thank you everybody for listening. And if everybody is not exhausted from being on Zoom for an hour, I am super up for answering questions. John, you can come in maybe and help moderate these questions a little bit. And thank you so much everybody for listening to my presentation.